Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Pringle here again for part 2 of the Caldecott series. One thing I wanted to show you was this Caldecott Medal winners pamphlet. Excuse the little notes, that's from me. But I wanted to let you know, in case you would like to have a list of all of the winners, the actual winners who have won since 1938, the gold medal recipients, we're going to post this on the Lift Off to Literacy webpage on the school's big webpage. I want to show you this book, Animals of the Bible. This is the first book ever to receive the Caldecott honor. And it's pretty special because obviously it's about animals of the Bible. And it was a book that was commissioned by a very religious lady of the church. And she commissioned a well-known artist to do all of the pictures. We're going to walk down a little bit and we're going to look at the wall. One thing I wanted to talk to you about too is sometimes you hear people say Caldecott and sometimes you hear, like me, say Caldecott. Either one is correct. The award is actually given out by the American Library Association, and they actually tweeted at one time that when you're saying it, it should rhyme with ball, like Caldecott. But honestly, some people say Caldecott, some people say Caldecott. They're both right. It's totally fine. We're going to start up here in this top corner. What's really cool about Caldecott books is there's really something for everyone. This is kind of an interesting book, Casey at the Bat. This is about one of the most famous American poems, A Ballad of the Republic. And so that's really interesting. Your parents may know that poem. Oh, I want to show you this feature on the wall. I think this is really special. 6 married couples have created Caldecott Award-winning books. So we'll just kind of go down the list and you can read those for yourself. And it's just really interesting to see in history. Oh, let's talk about The Snowy Day, one of my favorite books. This book is so cool, and there's such an interesting fact about The Snowy Day. This book is the most checked out book ever from the New York Public Library. I think that's so interesting. This is a sweet book, Mr. Rabbit and the Lovely Present. And the illustrator is Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are. And the author is Charlotte Zolotol. She's one of my favorites. When I was a little girl, I had a lot of books by her. May Lee, this is a really, really, really sweet book from 1939. It's about a little girl who goes to a Chinese New Year celebration. And she kind of proves to the boys that there's lots of things for girls to do there. Oh, this is a cute book, Me, Jane. Many of you may have read biographies about Jane Goodall, who did all of the research about gorillas. And this is a book about her childhood. Very nice. Let's see what else. Oh, Wolf in the Snow. This was a 2018 winner. I absolutely adore this book. And it's basically wordless. And I just think the illustrations convey such emotion. I love, love, love this book. This is a very, very popular book. Let's see, this was a 2018 honoree book, and it's won a lot of awards. It's an ode to the fresh cut, which is really talks about the culture of African Americans and getting haircuts and relating some of their childhood stories about haircuts. So I think this is a really cool book. Let's see, I want to go up here a little bit. Oh, Many Moons. This is really interesting. This is a sweet story, and it's about a princess, and she wants her dad to get her the moon for her birthday. And and this is a nice story. It was in 1944, but what's really interesting is this book won a Caldecott, but in 1990, the publishers allowed the book to be remade with different illustrations. So I thought it was kind of interesting. A Different Pond. This is a very nice story. Well, we're going to come down to the 2020 recipients because I haven't had a chance to meet with you guys and learn about those. I have a couple of them. I'm going to squat down here. This is The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander and Kadir Nelson. And this book is about African Americans throughout the ages and their incredible contributions to America. This is Going Down Home with Daddy. This is a book about a family that every summer they travel through the southern states to go visit grandma, and they learn all about their heritage. Double Bass Blues. This is a book about how music is so important to families and can bring families together. And then Bear came along. This is a sweet story about a bear. Let me see if I can just open it up to kind of show you some of the art. It's really cool, really cool. I think a lot of kindergartners and first graders may like this book. It'd be a cute gift. Okay, so we're gonna stand up and we're gonna walk down a little bit and we're gonna walk to this end of the bulletin board. And what do we have here? Oh, this is such a great story. This is Marshmallow. This is by Claire Turley Newberry. Actually, she has several award-winning books on this bulletin board. She was very, very famous for drawing cat portraits. And this is a story about a bunny who comes to live in a fancy-smancy apartment where a cat is kind of in charge there. Let's see. Oh, Last Stop on Market Street. This is the 2016 honoree winner. And I always think that this author is, I think he may have been impressioned by Ezra Jack Keats, who wrote The Snowy Day. Here's Finding Winnie. This is the true story of Winnie the Pooh. This is truly a true story, and it's very fascinating. And inside of the book are photographs of the real life bear that was basically bought by an army sergeant, and he raised the bear, and then eventually the bear went to the zoo, and the author of Winnie the Pooh met the bear, and this was the inspiration for Winnie the Pooh. And what's cool too to note about this book, the illustrations are by Sophie Blackhall. She also wrote the book that won the gold medal last year about the lighthouse. And oh, here's another Claire Newberry book, April's Kittens. And oh, this is a darling book, 2006 Zen Shorts, and there's a whole series of these books. What else do we have? Oh, I know you guys, a lot of people love this book, especially our fourth grade teachers. 1943, The Little House by Virginia Lee Burton. She's also the illustrator for the Robin Hood book I was talking about earlier. I don't know this book, but I've got to get it. Sleep Like a Tiger. It looks darling. And let's come over here. Oh, this is kind of fascinating. This is Marcia Brown. Now, she's very, very special because she's won the Caldecott Medal 3 times. She's been the recipient of it for Once a Mouse, for Shadow, and for Cinderella. So her first Caldecott Medal was in 1955, and then Shadow was 1983, and this was 1962. To me, she's really, really fascinating because she has such a wide range of artwork. You know, she has the wood cutout, she has watercolor, and I have to say one of the regrets in my life is I learned this past year that Marcia Brown actually was residing in Laguna Hills, and she only passed away last year. So all these years that we've been doing Liftoff, she was literally in our backyard, and I would have so have loved to have invited her to our school and interviewed her. So that's kind of, I've always thought about that. There's one other illustrator who has won the Caldecott 3 times, and this is David Weisner. He's right there, and I think you're probably going to recognize a lot of his books. Flotsam, and that was 2007, and then we have Tuesday, and The Three Pigs. And he's really famous for minimal writing, but very, very, very detailed illustrations. And let's see. Oh, this is kind of a sweet book. When I Was Young in the Mountains. This is by Cynthia Rylant. I don't know if you guys know the book Dog Heaven. That's one of my favorite books. She wrote Dog Heaven. This is kind of like a Little House on the Prairie story. And there are so many Caldecott winners and honorees that are not even up on our board. We only have about maybe 35% of the books that have been recipients. So I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I hope you're inspired to maybe check out one of these books or order one of the books on Amazon, or maybe you have one of the books at home. I would love to hear from you. I'd love for you to write a review about one of the books. I'm thinking about you guys, and happy reading.